There we go. Adam just showed up.
Oh, good old Adam.
Welcome, Adam.
Hey guys.
Hey, I can hear him.
Adam, you've done
I'm
it.
learning. I don't know what's going on. I can put Adam in the circles.
Adam, we thought you were going to make it, mate.
Yeah, I'm here.
Adam, where are you from?
Southern Cal.
Oh, we're in Southern Cal.
I'm in Redondo Beach.
Oh, Redondo.
Yeah.
Don't they call that East Bay or something?
South Bay.
South Bay.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Perfectly.
Oh, really well. Can you hear us?
Yeah. I'm gonna see. What am I using? What microphone am I using right now? Let's see. Settings.
You sound really good, whatever you're using.
Oh yeah, cool. I'm good to go.
We were talking to Deborah, but Deborah can't hear us now, or we can't hear her.
Yeah, well, and Sallie, what's happened to her?
Let me change my camera again. Oops.
Oh, you're going to change your camera again. Yeah.
I didn't mean to do that.
Right.
Yeah, that Ken Porter Auctions connection is because I am the social media manager, director of social media and internet marketing for them. And
okay,
the minute I tied it together, I manage the G Plus account there. It just everyone sees me for some reason. That name overwrites. I don't know. Somehow Google mucked it up. So when I eventually leave there, I will have to disconnect all that stuff.
Yeah, it's a real mess.
Yeah.
You know, I love Google, but some of their stuff, it's mind-numbing, isn't it?
I do some amazing things with Google, though, broadcasting from, like, presentations of people. I mean, you can really do some good broadcasts. I've done not broadcasts, but they captures on YouTube, and I'll just set it up and capture the luncheon speech.
Right.
And that's to me, that works as well as anything.
Oh, it looks like Sally's joined us. Where are you, Sallie? Are you going to speak?
Apple a second ago. She caught me early on. She was the first on eating my breakfast.
We're waiting for Sallie, really. Oh, she's moved.
Oh, there she goes.
Oh,
I can actually see her. Sallie, where are you from? No, we can't hear her.
There we go.
Maybe I muted her. Maybe.
Let's see. Can you hear
there,
me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. I am the organizer of the East Bay WordPress Meetup, which meets in Oakland, California, on the third Sunday of the month at 1 p.m.
Oh, good. So we got South Bay and we got East Bay. South Bay being down Redondo Beach. That's very good. Let me see something. Let me try to see it, Jonathan. Oh, there's Jonathan. Now I got it.
Well,
I'm a consumer of. This is good.
Oh well, Deborah's disappeared though.
Yeah, Deborah was having problems with sound. She could try.
Yeah, her chat says she's going to try.
Right.
Yeah,
right. So, shall we get on with the proceedings, Bill?
Sure. Why don't you lead it?
All right then, folks. So, basically, this is our first where we did a bit of outreach and saw if some of the other groups would join in. Just have a quick discussion about one topic a month, and both of you kindly agreed and you've come on, and we're hopefully going to get a couple other people join in. And basically the very loose subject is plugins, mostly plugins. There are some themes as well, but I'm not too happy with themes, but plugins that can help either with rapid development or with users, owners of websites to do minor changes. And I just wanted to see what your experiences are of is any that you've used yourself, and what's your general position on utilising them?
Ladies first.
Thanks. I've used the Themify Builder a bit only within Themify themes, and I thought it was intriguing. I haven't really used it a lot in practice. I'm really curious to see somebody demonstrate Conductor, because it's gotten a lot of buzz, but it's sort of like, well, that's a little pricey for me to buy just to investigate and then decide later, no, I really don't want to use that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I interviewed him on our podcast a couple of weeks ago, and he's a great guy. And I've looked at it myself, and I probably will buy a version of it. I think he gives a money-back guarantee, though. I think if you try it and you absolutely can't get on with it, he will give you your money back. And Matt's a pretty straight guy, and he run me through it a couple of times, and it does look a pretty amazing system and a plugin. I personally think there's definitely is a need for something like that in WordPress, because I do get a lot of frustrated people that have built a website and they just want to do some layout changes, and they're restricted by what is available either in the theme or in the content area. They just want a bit more flexibility in moving their stuff around, and they feel frustrated. So what's your experience of these kind of plugins, Adam?
Well, so the question, so really to allow the user, the client, to make the changes themselves?
Well, in the actual page, in the framework of the page or post, I'm not talking about letting them loose on the whole theme.
Right.
Just,
I've gone as far as to, I've never done it through a plugin. I mean, I'll do a custom post type, so that limits them to how to do certain things, because it's beyond just a page or a post. It's the bane of my existence. For one site in question, it's a recipe site, a client of mine, and this client. It's a tough call. I can't say. There's a familiar relationship between the client and myself. She's family, so love her to death. But the problem is she doesn't really blog the typical way. Usually, food bloggers blog a recipe and then they show up later on in a recipe page. She's the opposite. She does a recipe on a recipe page technically, and then every now and then we'll copy and paste information back to the blog side of it. So based on that, I did a custom post type, because most recipe plugins don't work backwards; they work forwards. In a typical way. Anyway, long story short, I've done the CPT way. The work I do on the development side, I use Headway as my theme of choice, which most of my clients don't need anything more than that. They just need to go when they need to have the look they want, and then from there we go to they just add content. If they want changes, some of my clients, I train them, I teach them some stuff, what they can do, but otherwise they come back to me. They're low maintenance, and that's what I like about them. I only take on so many clients at a time, and certain types of clients. If it's beyond that, then I'll source it or refer it.
Yeah. So you think, I'm getting the impression that you think that these plugins aren't going to be used for minor changes. They're just for people that are wanting to build a whole website themselves.
Yeah, I mean, the other plugin, I'm trying to think of the best way, another way to word it. Depends on what the purpose is. It really depends on what the changes are needed. And I try to educate and help guide the client to not doing people. Here's the thing: people don't come to your site for the look of it. Unless you are a designer, no one's going to look at your site for how it looks. They want to look clean and nice and relevant, but the content's the key. Produce good, relevant content, and that's your job. Once the site is designed, once that aspect of it's done, then move on. And look at Craigslist. I use that. I teach a WordPress class here in town. Craigslist has changed very little over the past 15 years.
And it was deliberately designed to have no design from the beginning.
Exactly. And it's they finally did some minor updates. They've done some back end stuff, some UI, but the UI actually is 1% change in the past 10 years.
Well, and they've actually set it up so that you can put less design in your postings. Right.
They took away the link ability, all these little things. They've actually cut stuff out. They've changed the servers. I've done all this research because part of my other job is I do some Craigslist posting for them, and they made it difficult to do certain things because they don't want just total spam. They want to have some control. They start charging for posting ads in Los Angeles now for cars. You have to pay $5 if you're a dealer.
Wow. Hey, look at Drudge Report. Drudge Report hasn't changed at all, and it's huge. It's drudge.com.
Right.
I've got I'm new to WordPress, but I created my WordPress site for my podcast. Actually, I learned podcasting, then learned WordPress, and I've learned a lot, and I want to learn more. But,
I came to WordPress through podcasting.
Yeah, that's me too. But if you look at my site, it's Timelines of Success or BluffTV.net, which you're both welcome to come on. They're just real simple sites, but they work, and they're clean, they're fast.
I came from WordPress. Just real quick, I didn't really do an intro.
We should do intros. Sorry, it's the first time.
Once again, ladies first.
Okay, I'll go with that. You're up, Sallie. You get to do the intro.
So I discovered WordPress in 2005, and it was mainly through podcasting. My first encounter with blogging was Blogger. I had come across B2. I mean, somebody was introducing blogging. I went to my then hosting company and saw what did they have, and they didn't have WordPress yet, although WordPress had been invented. B2 was just a little too confusing. I found Blogger. I installed the self-hosted version. Some of you may not know that there used to be a self-hosted version of Blogger. And I switched that blog from Blogger to WordPress at the time that Blogger discontinued having a self-hosted option because I don't like hosted services. But I came back to WordPress a little later that year because that was what everybody used for podcasting because of the PodPress plugin, which preceded the PowerPress plugin that everybody uses today. And I just got sucked into WordPress, and I became the organizer of the East Bay WordPress meetup in 2009.
Nice.
Wow.
Okay,
So-
I'm sorry.
Sorry about that.
Go
So
for
Deb-
it.
Go.
Oh,
Sure.
my name is Debbie. I started using WordPress a couple years ago when I needed to build my website for my business, so I've been learning on my own as I go. I hadn't done any blogging or anything else like that, but I've always liked to fiddle with computer stuff. I did gaming and building my computer or upgrading my computer and stuff like that, so taking on WordPress wasn't too difficult for me.
Deb, give
so.
us one of your sites. I meant to ask everybody for their site because you do a really good job, especially for how you've done everything for the. I don't want to say cheap, but for free.
My website is Envision Hypnosis. It's NV as in Nevada, so it doesn't start with an E.
I'm going there right now.
And I had to remove some content because of some things that were going on right now. So I've
Because
got some pages.
Nevada is not as free as California.
Yeah.
True story.
so
I'm
while
from
we do
California
those-
originally, and I'm really shocked that Nevada, other than having no taxes, is not as free as California, except you can have guns here.
But on my website, the hidden pages that I have an appointments app. My store kind of crashed because I had moved some stuff, so I have to fix that. Of course, I had all my PayPal and my gateways integrated, and I had all kinds of other content. And right now, I was using free content. Now I decided to use what's called the 7. And what I love about that is that theme is that I can change the theme to 7 different setups, actually. So this comes with so much flexibility to it. I can do so much with it. That's what I liked about it.
Nice. Yeah, you have really good SEO when you come on your site. It's really developed with all the breakdowns of your different pages. How long have you had it?
I've actually had the website for about 2 years now, and I used a free site for about 1.5 years. But I was looking for something that I could had freedom of choice in colors, design, platform. If I needed to change it later on, I could make it a status page, I could make it a photograph page, I could make it very interactive, and I could do that with this theme, and it gave me a lot of choices, and I've been using this theme for about probably 4 to 6 months now.
Mm-hmm. By the way, I wish I had your interview up right now because I could refer it. It's a really good interview. If you listen to the first 5 to 10 minutes of the interview, you'll know about the person, the background, and I do basically an interview formatted system, which is about 25 minutes, and you basically learn about that person. So it's good to refer to. I wish I had that link up. I should have yours up. I took a vacation for 2 weeks.
How dare you?
How dare you?
Yeah,
I actually climbed Mount Whitney too. So and I did 9 interviews in Southern California. Yeah, some in Laguna Beach, some pretty high-end interviews, face to face.
Good. Adam next.
Oh, hi. So as you can see, I just got my my little thing going there.
What's your website?
So I'm at kitchensinkwp.com. It's where I share what I know for free. I have my other company, is Silver Lining Productions. It's where people hire me. And so I run the South Bay WordPress meetup here in Southern Cal. We're up to about 180 people. I started it in the area because of just, actually I'm wearing my LA WordCamp LA shirt. but which was 3 weeks ago. It was awesome. I started
Was it sold out?
I would have so liked to go, except I actually had to be at a different conference in LA that same weekend.
What conference?
It's called ECC.
Okay. Yeah, cool. It was sold out. It was awesome. We had a great time. We did a foundation Friday, so we had a beginner track on Friday, designer track, and a business track. I spoke in the beginner track. So I run the South Bay meetup. I have a podcast also. Weekly, comes out Mondays, and I teach a WordPress 101 class here in town. And I came to WordPress from I spent a couple days with Joomla, and we broke up.
That's all it would take.
Yeah, no, actually, I spent a little longer. I spent about 2 months. I was working for a company in Colorado at the time, and we're trying to do an in-house website, and I messed with it. But then the company went under, and so I left, and I ended up coming back to California for a different job. I was hosting a web show on camera, yada yada, and I got laid off. And really, the reason I came to WordPress, I started with Blogger also for my photography site. I do some corporate commercial photography. Less these days, just because everyone thinks they're a photographer. Because if you have, a phone, you are a professional photographer.
That's right, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. So I mean, my kids are actually making huge money. No, I'm kidding. So so I came back to when I needed a new website for my photography, which is under silverliningphotography.net. I went ahead and redesigned that in WordPress, and then but it just kind of fell back in my lap and helping people out and teaching the class, and then the meetup, and then the podcast. So I'm in week 31 tomorrow for my podcast, and my podcast is short, 15-20 minutes.
What's it about?
I kind of go over tips and tricks. I mean, just things I can share. To try to share audio is tough for what we do, and I also try to add an interview at least once a month with either designers, developers, or end users, people who actually use. Why they if you're a small business owner, why did you pick WordPress to use for your business?
Oh, that's good.
So yeah,
Jonathan, I think you have a guest.
Yeah, I mean and then yeah, I mean I'm digging the meetup, and I like it all. I love sharing what I can share, and my teaching, I'm actually teaching I teach WordPress 101 for 5 weeks, and I'm also doing a podcasting class in October for the same South Bay Adult School.
Really? So they hired you to teach?
Yeah, they want more classes, so I pitched 10 of different classes, social media, all the stuff we know, but they said, let's try podcasting. So right now we have 2 or 3 people signed up. We'll see if it happens or not. They need at least 7 to make it a go and pay me. And I don't do it for the money, honestly. I mean, I'm not paid much. I do it for the community, and then I become the area person where the people come to. So, yeah. And I freelance, I have half a dozen clients. So,
podcasting is growing in leaps and bounds.
There's actually there's a conference this weekend in LA.
Yeah, the Hollywood one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a big one. My friend of mine's there, but I'm not going. It's like $100, and I had you guys booked. Sorry.
It's I know it's the one with the comedians.
Yeah. My friends from college. I mean, my background, I have a degree in theater. I was an actor and a comic for a long time. So one of my friends, she's there. I'm just not funny or good looking. So. Thank you for your whole week.
There's also a podcast meetup in Dallas, Texas. Last month, I think.
Yeah.
That LA one would have been nice. I meant to go to that or try to go to that.
This one's pretty big. I mean, it's right. It's like the big wigs, if you will.
It's like the Hollywood insiders. I mean, you get the Adam Carollas, I think, come to it.
Yeah. I'm not sure I know who he is. I'm kidding. I'm joking.
Easy.
It's called LA Podcast Festival. It's called.
Right.
Shall I do mine then, Bill?
You should go ahead, Jonathan. Let me put you up.
Right. So, I'm the main organizer of the Reno Words monthly meetup for WordPress. We meet at the Reno Collective, which is a co-hosting building. I'm also a member of that. I'm a web designer / WordPress developer. I've been doing it for about 6 years. I have my own business called Digital Delirium, and it's just I just do general WordPress work and get clients that have no idea how they're going to get people to their website. They're not so interested in WordPress, but they are interested in me helping them, come with some rationality how we're going to move their business on. And I I'm just in the midst of starting an online business myself, called Mail-Right, which is taking up an enormous amount of my time as well.
Good. No, I'm just kidding. Just as a caveat, I tell people all the time, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how we get the websites working. I don't think the client really cares the technology that we use. And it shouldn't matter. It should matter that they get what they need within budget and time frame that we've agreed upon, just as a sideline.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
I mean, that's just one of my... Or I could be totally BS. I don't know.
Oh, I don't think so. But I've got to say that the topic, I had reservations about the topic, but the topic was what I and my co-host, it wasn't actually Bill, it was another
Mike?
Mike.
You say Mike.
Yeah. You know, that's what our crowd wanted. You know, that's one of their things. They wanted us to do a presentation on plugins that can help you make websites, and I didn't particularly want to do it, but and it seemed to go down really well, and we got a good turnout. So I think it does depend on what your crowd of your meetup is like. There was a couple of people I invited to this, and they will come on in future months, but they wouldn't actually come on this episode because they said we don't want to discuss this, we don't agree with it. Which I could understand, but I thought it was taking it a little bit too far myself. But I do have reservations about these plugins.
Okay, well, let me ask you this real quick. Since the topic is plugins and making them for websites to work, I mean, the other shirt I have, it says there's a plugin for that. It's from iThemes. You know, I just had a conversation with another developer. Literally, he's a hard-code coder, and he's anti-plugins because he's like, everyone thinks WordPress is easy and fast and cheap, and plugins. You know, everyone knows about the plugins. Well, you have to have plugins because core can only do so much. Out of the 80 million people, I'd say there's 1% of people who are hardcore developers who can write their own core additional functionality through functions PHP, through any PHP. But that's what WordPress was sold.
You shouldn't add it to functions PHP.
Of course not.
What you do if you're a custom coder is you write your own plugins.
You write your own plugins. But yeah, there's 1% out of 80 million sites. There's no way that core can do it all. Most people don't want to do that. They want the site to be up and running and back to business. You know, I don't mind using plugins. I have a site right now that hasn't been updated since 2.84. Seriously, I am not joking. Has 19 plugins running, and some of them are hide update core notifications, hide plugin notification updates, and that's why the site hasn't been updated in 5 years. It's killing me.
I was going to ask you how many plugins you typically have on your client sites.
I average 7 to 8.
Good. Yeah, that seems if you get a good 7 to 8 that are working, those are manageable. But when you get a lot of 19 or 20,
too many.
That's when you have problems.
It depends on the site. It totally depends on the site, what it needs, and it depends on the plugins, how efficient their code is.
Right.
It's not a matter of counting the plugins, whether they're going to slow your site down or be problematic.
Or not.
It's are they needed and how well are they coded? Now, you know, a lot of the plugins in the repository are coded very badly. Let's not kid ourselves about this. And this is part of why some of the people who, you know, some people prefer to write their own stuff if they're any good at it. But then, okay, are they going to be tied to maintaining it for the rest of the time the client has that website?
Right.
There's that issue too.
Right. But you know, as far as the client, I don't know. I just feel like people. So there are two camps. People use plugins way too many. Well, there's 3 camps. There's people who use the right amount to get the job done, and there's people who don't want to use them at all. They want to do their own custom. Well, that depends on where you like, what you need. You know.
Right. I mean, I think there is this issue about, particularly with these kind of design and build oriented plugins, and with the themes. We did a couple of sessions, one a year ago and one recently this year, on these, you know, drag and drop themes.
Yeah.
And sort of, do they live up to their billing, and how easy are they to use, and what are their limitations, and that kind of thing. And you know, that in some cases, I mean, you know, I had, for this most recent session, you know, I had installed and tested Ultimatum, and my conclusion about it was, well, you could probably do pretty much anything with it. And the learning curve involved is such that I would rather sit down and code it by hand.
Right, yeah.
That's a drag and drop.
Sort of. Yeah. I mean, it's a theme where it's like you can do this stuff without coding, but it's so complex that it's that it's just as difficult. If you actually know how to code it, it's just as easy to do it with code.
Yeah.
And this is prompted an article I wrote recently called, Are We Misleading People About WordPress? That for some reason people have come to think that without knowing code is semantically equivalent to without knowing anything. And if you think about it, think about all these fiendishly complex software programs like Photoshop.
Uh-huh.
You don't have to know any code to become an expert at Photoshop, but you have to spend an awful lot of time learning it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I have the Adobe suites, and I work. Of course, Adobe. I've had to learn a lot. I consistently really learn.
But I think we've got a business owner here, and that's just why we asked Deb to join us, because a business owner that likes to do their own thing. You've got a bit of a different perspective to this. You actually like these tools that allow you see that as a liberation almost, don't you?
Well, yeah, I think if something is well designed, it lets an end user. I'm sorry, Deb. Go and talk.
That's okay. What happened is I was pressed for time. I'm working full time. I'm starting my business part time, hoping that the business will replace the full time job.
Right.
And I know I needed to be involved in every aspect of my business. Whether I get an accountant, I need to know where the money's going. If I get a website, I better know what's going on, because something happens and I don't have that person anymore. I don't want to be stuck with a website that I don't know what's going on. WordPress and all the plugins gave me that ability. I had to go and learn it, but it was worth it. I didn't have the money to go spend more time or even the time to go to school, so WordPress created that venue for me. I mean, granted, no matter what it is that you're going to do, you're going to have to learn. I'm still learning other aspects about my business. It's still a growing business. I do continuing education for my profession. I'm still going to constantly learn. I still have to invest in it, and we have to ask, is it worth it? How valuable is it to me? And that's what I liked about this thing. I learned a lot about WordPress and doing it. I enjoy doing it. I've made a lot of mistakes along the way. Obviously, I do have some plugins in there that I'm not using that I need to get rid of, and that's probably what caused my store to crash. So, but I'm still learning. I don't know much about code or anything. I thought about going to school for it, but that would be taken away from what I'm really trying to do here, and that's get my website going for the purpose of my business, which is hypnosis. So.
And I meet a lot of owners like that. I think it's a balance. I actually think this is one of the things I thought having some group organisers on, is that I think this balance could cause WordPress a lot of trouble, because in the end, getting the right balance between these different groups is going to be difficult. And in the end, it could cause WordPress a lot of trouble, trying to be all things to all people. I just wondered what our guests think. Is there a right balance, or is that balance just going to find itself? What do you think is going to happen in the next year?
I think WordPress has been struggling with this issue for quite a while, and I don't know if there's exactly a perfect solution for it. It's part of why you've seen a lot of new blogging tools come up, that why you see things like Medium and Ghost and whatnot appear, because if all you want to do is blog, WordPress is no longer really the best choice.
Yeah.
Or at least not the easiest choice. But if you want to blog and do some other things, if you want a simple content management system for a business, that it's still possible to learn how to use without a lot of background, as long as you're willing to put some time into it. And it's like, as Deb just said, she had to spend some time learning. It was possible for her to learn. She didn't have to go to school. She didn't have to become a programmer, but she had to go through some trial and error. It's the problem is when you advertise something or you lead people to believe that they can pick it up instantaneously without having to go through any learning curve at all.
And I think the other thing, there's been a lot of discussion in the meetups, in the general community, that attacking themes that have a lot of functionality built in the theme. And don't get me wrong, I think having a theme that's totally filled with shortcodes and having it displayed on a certain theme depository that I won't mention, having a theme that is basically it's misleading because it's developed with a load of shortcodes. I don't agree with that. But on the other hand, saying that all the functionality should be in plugins, because in my experience, most business owners, unless there's somebody like Deb that wants to get really involved in it, the traumatic experience of actually trying to get a website up and running that actually does the job and has the, they don't want to go back to it anytime soon. So they never changed the theme until the site is so old. But
I've seen this go a couple of ways, because I've seen people say, okay, well we saw this amazing theme that does this and this and this and this and this, and we wanted it, and then they install it and they go eek and run away because all the theme options are so terrifying to them.
It's true. I mean,
getting it set up to look like the demo is not very intuitive.
So I tell people all the time that 11 years ago, when WordPress came out, it was marketed, if you will, as free and easy, and it still is marketed that way. It's free and easy. If you want WordPress.com in your domain, you can be up and running in 5 minutes.
Set up a blog on WordPress.com. Dead
easy.
It's
free and easy. The minute you want more customization and/or your own hosting, I mean, they'll charge. They now offer, they'll mask it and give you a domain, which they get, they sell. They offer you support services. I mean, Automatic's a great company. They make a lot of money. I know people who work there. I mean, I've applied and I will reapply. My timing wasn't great. They take care of their employees, yada yada. You can work from anywhere in the world, but you want free and easy. It is to this. The minute you want customization and anything more, there's a learning curve, and it depends on where you want to go. And that's why people ask me, why did I pick Headway? Because the reason why, there are 2,600 themes in the repository as of last week. I can't know all those themes and settings. So for what I offer to my clients, I chose a theme, and I get to know it really well. And even that has too much depth for most of my clients. Yeah.
Hey, can I ask a quick? Sorry about that. I should really be paying attention, because I think the person who does what I'm doing actually needs to focus on running this up. Actually, listening to your ideas and thinking of stuff. Hey, Michael Hyatt's, I meant to put this up. Michael Hyatt's theme, you're probably familiar with it, Adam. What do you have you looked at that? What do you think of that theme? I mean, that's interesting because he's designed it just for podcasters, and I think he's made a lot of money. On this.
I'm not actually familiar with that. Put that link up.
I used to listen to his podcast. I don't lately.
Yeah. By the way, last week I said I like listening to new podcasts on one of the Facebook groups, and I listened to about 15 different new podcasts. My brain is spinning.
I listen to 20 podcasts a week. I'm 8 hours in behind right now, but I mean I don't listen to radio a whole lot anymore. Anyway, yeah. Michael Hyatt's, I liked it originally. Now I don't. It's funny. I talked to another podcaster who's doing great things out there, and he'd hit me up. He's like, "Hey, what about he and I